Now, when we talk about goodwill, it will be very important for you to imagine, like when you go to acquire a store in Nairobi, at a good location. Normally, what they'll tell you is that the value of this store, for example, in terms of rent, is like this, but you must give us something over and above these normal payments. Over and above these normal payments, give us about 500,000, and this amount will not be receipted. This is what we call goodwill. So basically, goodwill is the premium payable on acquiring a subsidiary. It's basically the premium of acquisition. Premium on acquisition. On is better. Premium on what year? On acquisition. When you acquire a subsidiary, the premium that you pay is called what year? Is called goodwill. How do we calculate goodwill? There are two methods of calculating goodwill. We have in this case here two methods. I'll be able to show you in a moment. We have what we call full method, and a partial method. So in talk of full method, this is where we include the consideration paid by the paid by NCR. When you include the consideration paid by NCR, NCR is non-controlling interest. NCR is non-controlling interest. Then, ladies and gentlemen, you are calculating goodwill using full method, i.e., under this approach to get goodwill, we take the consideration paid by the parent company, like that, consideration paid by the parent company, like that, and then we will come and add the consideration paid by NCI, non-controlling interest paid by NCI, non-controlling interest, add like that. Then, ladies and gentlemen, we shall come here and get the total consideration. This is the total consideration. The total consideration of which will come and now less what we call the net assets of the sub. Net assets of the sub. We subtract like that. Whatever we get here will be the goodwill on acquisition. Goodwill on acquisition. Goodwill on acquisition. Goodwill on. So we start with consideration paid by the parent. We add the consideration paid by NCI. And remember that this consideration paid by NCI is what we call the fair value. Fair value of NCI. Fair value of NCI. Fair value of NCI. So whenever you see a calculation having consideration paid by NCI, know straight away that these people want you to use full method. Full method. Full method. So less net assets of the subsidiary. Very, very important. Great. So can I wrap this and then I show you the partial method? Can I wrap this? So this is the first method. It's called full method. Full method. Full does not have to scare you. Full is about two considerations being paid there. Being paid there. So can I wrap this? Can I wrap this? After all, the format is given in the book. 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 Great. And then now we have the partial method. Great. So under partial method, that's the partial method of calculating goodwill. So the partial method, basically here we consider one consideration which was paid by who? The parent company. So here, consideration paid by NCI is, the partial method, the consideration paid by NCI, which is non-controlling interest, is ignored, is ignored, is ignored. So meaning that our goodwill here, our goodwill computation will look like this. We have here consideration paid by the parent, like that. Consideration paid by NCI now is 0, is hot air. So they will come under less the parents share of net assets. Because you see, it's only consideration of the parent that we have taken into consideration. So it can't be the total net assets, the parents share of net assets, and then we'll be able to get what we call the partial what you have goodwill. This will be a goodwill at acquisition. Your goodwill at acquisition. Will the answers be the same? No, they won't be the same. They won't be the same. They won't be the same. Great, 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 great. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I would want us to do now. If you don't know how to calculate goodwill, you will have so many problems in your group consolidations. So many problems. So many problems. That's what they're watching there. And then they have given us the example. Yeah, we have an example here. Just to understand it too. Jack acquired the 60% of the ordinary share capital of Daniel on 31st December 2016 for $240,000. At this date, the net assets of Daniel were $360,000. What goodwill arises on the acquisition? Number one, if the non-controlling interest is valued using the proportionate of net assets method. Proportion of net assets method. Number two, if the NCI is valued using the fair value method, and the fair value of the NCI on acquisition date is 150,000. 150,000. Here they have introduced something quite important, but I would want us to start with Roman 2. Let's start with Roman 2 in this question. Let's start with Roman number 2. Roman number 2. Then I'll be able to explain something. Roman 2, and then I'll be able to explain something very important here. Jack acquired 60% of the ordinary share capital of Daniel on 31st December 2016 for $240,000. At this date, the net assets of Daniel were $360,000. What goodwill arises on the acquisition? What goodwill arises on the acquisition if number two, if the NCI is valued using the fair value method, and the fair value of the NCI on acquisition date is 150,000. I love this. This is very easy. This is very easy. This is very easy. This is very easy, really. Very, very easy. So then what we shall do, because this is full method, this is what we shall do. Because this is full method, this is what we shall do. So I will come here and say consideration. So this is Roman 2 is full method of calculating goodwill. So I'll come here and say consideration paid by the parent. The parent, the one who acquired 60%, is the one who has got controlling. So is there somebody who has a figure there? I can see Paul has something there. So consideration paid by the parent. Can somebody give me this consideration? What amount was paid by the parent company? Because it's full method, we must talk about consideration Consideration paid by NCI. Consideration that was paid by NCI. The fair value of the NCI. Is there anybody who is able to see the fair value? The fair value of the NCI. Is there anybody who is able to see the fair value of the NCI? Fair value of it, according to UMI, it's 100,000. So in this case here, we have 390,000. Great. So from there, we shall come under less net assets of the subsidiary. Net assets of the subsidiary. Are you able to see the net assets of the subsidiary? Are you able to see the net assets of the subsidiary? Are you able to see the net assets of the subsidiary? Are you able to see the net assets of the subsidiary? Net assets of the subsidiary. So net assets of the subsidiary told us is 360,000. 360 net assets of the subsidiary. 360. The Paul bought it because Paul gave us this one here, gave us goodwill of 30,000. Goodwill of 30,000. Great. Now, how about Roman 1, the partial method? The partial method. So can I rub this? Can I rub this? Can I rub this? Can I rub this? Thank you. So Roman 1 is the partial method. Partial or proportionate method. So the partial method. So the partial method, we are looking at consideration paid by the parent only. Consideration paid by parent only. Paid by parent only. So how much was paid by the parent company only? How much was paid by the parent only? How much was paid by the parent only? $240,000, right? So we have your 240,000. And then you will come here and the less, the share of the parents' net assets of the subsidiary. Net assets of the subsidiary. Remember, the parent has got what percentage? If I remember very well, the parent has 60%. So 60% of 360. Remember the total net assets of the sub. Total net assets of the sub were 360,000. So 60% of 360,000. Yeah, which gives us 216,000. So you subtract, in this case, you'll be able to get the goodwill using the partial method. 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 Which in this case, here, according to Benjamin, was here, will be 24,000. Now, please listen. When it's partial method, we are only considering one consideration. The consideration that was paid by who? By the parent only. But I've also seen some students who do this question this way. Partial method, also known as proportionate method, which is the same. Also known as proportionate method. Also known as proportionate method. I've also seen some students doing this way. So in this case here, method 2. Method 2. What we call the 100% reasoning. The 100% reasoning. So they'll come here and they'll tell you consideration paid by the parent. 240,000. 240,000 is the consideration was paid by the parent. They want us to make use of partial method, but they would still want us to bring here the consideration that was paid by NCA. They would want this. I'll show you how to calculate it. And then, of course, we have here less now the net assets, less the net assets of the subsidiary, because it's 100% method, 100% reasoning. They'll come and use the 360,000. 360,000. 360,000 is what they have. Now listen, remember it's 100% reasoning. This parent company, of course, in this case, here had 60%. Now, NCI then must be having 40% for us to talk of what here 100%. If the parent has 60%, NCI must be having 40%. Right? Now, if it is the proportionate method, and you would want us in this case here, because now proportionate method, you can't use fair value over, you can't use fair value of NCI. Proportionate method, then come and take the proportion of NCI, the proportion of NCI of the total net assets. So 40% of 360,000. Can somebody in this case here give me this 40%? Just to give us a figure here. 40% of 360,000. Somebody will give me how much? 40% of 360,000. So somebody is giving me a figure of 144,000. 144,000. So is there somebody who can subtract here and give me this goodwill? Is there somebody who can subtract here and give me this goodwill? You take this plus this minus this goodwill, or rather minus this net assets. It gives me the 24,000. It gives me the 24,000. But now you have to decide really. For my case, whenever I hear of partial or proportional method, approach number one is what I shall be using throughout. I use throughout approach number one. Whenever they talk of partial, and it's very popular in your exam, partial or proportional method, I'll always use number one. I don't know about yourselves. Which method do you think should we settle with? Which method? Should we go for number two or number one? For partial, number one is easier. For partial, number one is easier. You don't have to reason at all. You don't have to reason at all. Number one is always easier. Number one is always easier. So even if, ladies and gentlemen, let me read this question for you, because this can easily confuse some of you. You see here they are telling you, if the non-controlling interest is valued using the proportion of net assets method, proportion of net assets method, don't be cheated and use method two. If it's proportion of net assets, this is a proportional method, it is a partial method, I shall always use method number one. Now, ladies and gentlemen, listen and listen to me very well. Now things are becoming sweeter. Things are becoming sweeter. If you look at your exams, what these people will do, they will come and tell you, this, that Grace bought 80% shares of A Limited, and they paid Kenya shillings 20 million with paid cash 20 million immediately with a balance of Kenya shillings 10 million payable at the end of the third year, at the end of the time year. A Limited's net assets are worth Kenya shillings 15 million. And then We are given here cork of 10%, cork of 10%, and then we are required here to determine goodwill, determine goodwill using the proportionate method, using the proportionate method, and determine the unwound discount, for year 2. Unwound discount for year 2. So if you get an examiner who hates you, they'll always set this kind of a question. Very popular. So we have here Grace bought 80% shares of A Limited, and they paid today 20 million immediately, with a balance of Kenya shillings 10 million payable at the end of the 3rd year. So we have what we call deferred consideration. Deferred consideration is normally found in the advanced financial reporting, not in the lower financial reporting. So this is your level. And the pay Kenya shillings 20 million immediately, with a balance of Kenya shillings 10 million payable at the end of the 3rd year. A Limited net assets are worth Kenya shillings 15 million, and then they have given us the cost of capital here, cork. It's 10%. Cork is cost of capital. It's 10%. So determine goodwill using the proportionate method and determine the unwound discount for year number 2. Ladies and gentlemen, we have what we call some deferred. This lady has made a promise of paying 10 million at the end of the 3rd year. So that is consideration which is deferred. So when consideration is payable in future, ladies and gentlemen, IFRS 10 requires us to discount. So then I must teach you like how do you discount this 10 million, give us this 10 million in terms of what you have to base value. Because there is no way you come and tell us, if you tell us this anyway stupid, that, sorry for using a bad term, but at times that helps, that Grace has paid 30 million for this. No. You can't add today's cash flow with tomorrow's cash flow. These cash flows belong to 2 different periods. So we must present value this so that they can now belong to the same period. So then we must discount. So please discount the deferred consideration. So come here and discount the deferred consideration. Discount the deferred consideration. Discount the deferred consideration. So discount, deferred, the deferred consideration. So now when I'm discounting this deferred consideration as the first thing, I need to ask myself, is this 10 million payable at the end of 3rd year an annuity? Is it really an annuity? You understand the meaning of annuity? You guys are doing advanced financial management. Is it an annuity? Is it something like Grace will be paying every year uniformly? No. It's a lump sum amount. So if it's a lump sum amount, one-off amount, it will be categorized under what we call irregular, and then we shall use, so this is a lump sum. This is a lump sum, and therefore use PVIF to discount. Use PVIF to discount. Use PVIF to discount. Use PVIF to discount. PVIF stands for present value interest factor. Remember, we have got PVIF and a PVFA. PVIF and a PVFA. So here we shall use PVIF because this is lump sum, one-off amount, present value interest factor. Present value interest factor. Now, if it's present value interest factor that I shall use to discount, I know the formula. I know that PV is 1 plus R raised to negative n. Is there anybody who is able to remember this formula? Is there anybody who is able to remember this formula? Is there anybody who is able to remember this formula somehow? PVIF. Well, we have PVFA and a PVIF. PV is 1 plus R, great. So R is the rate of return. R is the cost of capital. And the cost of capital is 10%. N is the period. Grace will be paying this amount in 3 years' time. So meaning that my PV, ladies and gentlemen, here, my PV, ladies and gentlemen, here, my PV, ladies and gentlemen, here will be 1 plus R, which is 1 raised to -3, because this is going to be paying this amount at the end of the 5 year. At the end of the 5 year. So is there somebody who can give me this figure? 4 decimal places. 4 decimal places, Benjamin, gives me 0.7513. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And therefore, the discounted consideration will be the 10 million times this 0.7513, which will end up giving me what amount? 10 million times 0.7513. You can this amount. You can give this amount. 10 million times 0.7513. So according to Mona, we have 7513. I don't want to value. It means 4 decimal places around that. So 75, I don't want to value. 75,000. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, then from there, this is what we have now. This is what we have now. As my goodwill. As my goodwill, using proportionate method. Using proportionate method, goodwill. So goodwill using proportionate method. Then I will have here consideration paid by the parent. So consideration paid by the parent, who is now who? Grace. Who is Grace? Grace. So remember, Grace made an immediate consideration of 20 million. And then now we have this deferred consideration for 75,000. So can somebody give me this figure? This figure here will be 27,513. Remember here, if it's proportionate method, we are not bringing in anything to do with NCI, but we shall come here nonetheless. Share of parents' net assets. I can't remember very well, but I believe Grace bought 80. Was it 80%? Grace bought 80%. Is that the case? 80%. Grace bought 80%. So 80% of the net assets of the subsidiary, which were 15 million. 80% of 15 million. Is there somebody who can give us this figure? 80% of 15 million. 80% of 15 million. 80% of 15 million. 80% of 15 million. 12 million. So then you come here and subtract very fast. Please subtract very fast. Please subtract very fast. Subtract very fast. But now, ladies and gentlemen, there is one catchword there. There is one catchword. There is one catchword. There is one catchword. If, for example, for purposes of financial prudence, if you start, this is amount which this lady will be paying, yeah? So she has discounted her consideration. So if she goes and puts this money, for example, somewhere saying that I'll be paying these people 75,000. So they understand that hope. Or the goodwill here, the goodwill available goodwill means I'll be yes. Yes. Now listen and listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. If this lady was to just put this amount as a reserve, saying that at the end of the 3 years, she'll only be paying this guy, she'll be told no. At the end of the 3 years, you need to do what here. She has now gotten kind of a discount. From 10 million, there's a discount she got. She'll be told no, you have to pay us 10 million. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, we need to be unwinding this discount every year so that by the end of the third year, we'll be having 10 million out of this. So then mention there the unwound discount schedule. Unwound discount schedule. It's very easy. Unwound discount schedule. I hope I will get 1 more minute here very fast. Unwound discount schedule. So we have here balance brought forward. Unwound discounts. Unwound discounts. And the balance carried forward. Again, it's time. So we have 3 years, 1, 2, 3. So balance brought forward is this one here, 7513. Remember, to unwind the discount, we use the cost of capital. So like now here we'll talk of what here somebody will come and talk of 10% of 7513,000, which will be 75,1300. So balance carried forward will be this plus this. Can somebody give me this amount? We take this plus the unwound discount, because now we are reversing the discount. We are saying not the discount. Can somebody give me this plus this before Zoom knocks us out? Just somebody knows that speed is of essence. 82, 64, 300. 82, 64, 300. So when you come here, year 2, this is what you bring forward here. 82, 64, 300. Apply 10% on it again. So 10% on 82, 64, 300. Is there somebody who can give us this figure very fast? So this will be 82, 64, 30. So please take this plus this, give me this figure. So basically, these are reserves that you're preparing, so that at the end of the third year, we should be able to have the 10 million or something which is close to 10 million, because of rounding off errors, you may not get exactly 10 million. So somebody, you're taking this plus this, give me a figure here. This thing is locking us out. 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 Great. They are not talking to me, or are they writing something which I'm not able to see? But 10% is what we shall use consistently. I know the problem is that you guys decide to write fast instead of giving me these figures, and then you can use the video later on to write. So according to Mary, it's 1997.30. So 1997.30. So come to year 3. So we have 1997.30, 10% of this 1997.30. So this one here will be 1990.73. So could you kindly add this and this? Give me a figure here and tell me whether it has to be 99 something, 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 almost 10 million. 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 803. Where do you think in this case, these are few points I've gone to? It's because of what you're rounding off error. But I believe with this kind of representation, now you guys have been able to pick something, however small,